Dumelang Absheni Ralocha Sanwanani Mulweni. My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. The news that Burkina Faso's president, Captain Ibrahim Traore, has reportedly survived yet another assassination attempt amidst growing political instability in his country is not only alarming, but also deeply symbolic of the ongoing struggles that African leaders face when they dare to challenge the status quo. Now, while reports differ on the exact number of assassination attempts, some claiming this marks his 19th, one thing is certain, this man is under immense pressure, and his survival is quite a testament to his strength and his security and the fierce loyalty he commands from his supporters. But I want to take a step back and really look at what's really happening here. Because what we're seeing is not just a political battle, but an existential struggle against external and internal forces that want to see him and perhaps the future of Africa fail.
Our country has long been in a very complicated system. Most of you who are young like me, we were born into this system. But that's not what can allow Burkina to thrive. Because in this situation, there are only two cases. Either we accept to fight, or we remain slaves forever. I told you once, there are those who are slaves in their minds. They can only serve their master. And those people try every time to manipulate you. You must advise each other. Because every situation can be exploited by these enemies of the nation to try to discourage you, to demotivate you. So you must advise each other and not pay attention to certain remarks, even on some media. Not everyone is obliged to be patriotic. Recently, there is a so-called NGO. It's not even an NGO, because NGO stands for non-governmental organization. They are not non-governmental because they are funded by a federal budget, by a state. This so-called NGO produces reports claiming that the FDS and the VDP commit abuses. It went in here, it came out there. It's to tarnish your morale. It's to scare you, to prevent you from being able to fight. No. Moreover, we are going to file a complaint against this NGO because people need to understand something. What is happening to us here? It's true that they have manipulated part of our populations in the Sahel here, but they didn't have that kind of weaponry. What brought such significant weaponry into their ranks? It's Libya. Who destroyed Libya? It's this NGO, the same NGO that made false reports and gave them to those who wanted to create a rebellion so that people would intervene and overthrow Gaddafi. And the powder keg ended up being poured into the Sahel. These millions of lives that have been taken in the Sahel, we must file a complaint against this NGO because it is responsible for these false reports it made to support this thesis of attacking Libya. They have no moral lessons to give us. They don't talk about human rights because these people see us as subhumans. They see us as slaves. That's how it is in their minds. They have never changed their mindset. But it's up to us to show them that we are not slaves and we will never accept this state of affairs.
Now let's be clear. President Ibrahim Traore's leadership challenges the established order in ways that many can't even begin to imagine. He takes a firm stance against foreign influence and exploitation, especially from former colonial powers and neo-colonial entities. Now this makes him a target, and not just from extremist groups within the region, but from forces that want Africa to remain divided, to remain weak and dependent. Now, what's fascinating is how President Traore's resilience has become a symbol for both his supporters and adversaries, right? His leadership inspires a deep-seated sense of loyalty in many, and that's not just political loyalty. I believe it's a connection to something bigger than politics. The people of Burkina Faso, and even those who support him beyond the borders, see Traore as a beacon of hope in a region long plowed by foreign influence and instability. But with that, of course, comes danger. And we're not talking about random acts of violence here. We're talking about calculated, well-funded assassination plots. Simulang Afsheni Ralocha Sanwanani Mulweni. My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News channel. Take the case where one of his would-be assassins turned into a $5 million offer to kill him. Now, this wasn't just an opportunistic act. This was a clear, premeditated attempt to eliminate a leader who poses a direct challenge to a global order built on Africa's exploitation. And to think about it, who has $5 million to spend on silencing the leader of Africa's poorest nations? What do they stand to lose? Now, the answer is the very system of exploitation they've actually set up, which has been draining Africa's resources for centuries.
Burkina Faso says it foiled another attempt to destabilize the Sahelian country.
Il y a quelques semaines de cela, les services de renseignement ont intercepté plusieurs communications entre un individu et des chefs terroristes. Le travail minutieux des services de renseignement va révéler un grand complot en préparation contre notre pays, dont le but ultime est de semer le chaos total en vue de placer le pays sous tutelle d'une organisation internationale à mesure de reprendre le contrôle dans 10 ou 20 ans selon les instigateurs.
The security minister added that the Burkinabe authorities are currently looking for this individual, who corresponded with terrorist organizations and who has ties to neighboring Ivory Coast.
Il faut noter que les cerveaux à l'extérieur du pays sont tous localisés en Côte d'Ivoire, y compris le nommé Bahari Abdraman. Le complot se poursuit activement depuis leur centre des opérations à Abidjan, avec pour objectif de semer le chaos au Burkina Faso avant le mois de juin.
In addition to Abdraman Bari, the authorities are also looking for a man named Captain René David Roudrago. The two men are reported to have worked with terrorist organizations to encourage civilians to revolt against the government. Religious and traditional leaders were key targets of this campaign. Additionally, members of the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDP, People's Militia, were approached and offered money to demoralize their fellow combatants. The plan was meant to culminate on 16 February 2025 with a military assault on the presidency.
The question must be asked, though, who's behind these assassination attempts? The truth is, we don't really know for sure, but we can speculate. We have to wonder what external forces, especially those with a vested interest in keeping Africa under the thumb, would go to this length to remove a leader like Traore. And let's not ignore the fact that some of these enemies could be within our own communities. Those who look like us, those who have been co-opted by external forces to do their bidding. And in this struggle, our true enemies are not always the one who wear the flags of foreign nations. Sometimes they sit next to us, if you know what I mean.
Libya under Muammar al-Gaddafi tried. What did they do to him? They killed him. Burkina Faso under Thomas Isidore Sankara tried it. What did they do to him? They killed him. Ghana under the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah tried it. What did they do to him? Removed him from power. Tanzania under Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere tried it. What did they do to him? They undermined his economy. Mozambique under Samora Moises Machel tried it. What did they do to him? They killed him.
Wait, it doesn't end there. What about Ruben Umniobe of Cameroon? Amilcar Cabral of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, Felix Moumier of Cameroon, Sylvanus Olympio of Togo, Hamani Diori of Niger, Laurent Désiré Kabila of DR Congo, Samuel Doe of Liberia, Eduardo Mondlane, Marian Ngouabi, Barthélemy Boganda, Pierre Mulele, and many others.
So whenever you tried to decolonize in all spheres, the former colonizer turned policeman of the world or policeman of the world will take you out.
That being said, it is Traore's strength, his vigilance, and his loyal inner circles and the intelligence networks that work tirelessly to protect him that have kept him alive through these numerous attempts. And let's be clear, it's not all luck. While some might think that it's good fortune or divine intervention, I believe it's a mixture of carefully planning, trusted allies, and a bit of luck that has allowed him to survive this far. And as we watch this situation unfold, we must ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want for Africa? Will we continue to allow foreign powers to dictate our destiny? Or will we continue to support leaders who are working to ensure that Africa controls its own resources, its own land, and its own future? President Traore's survival through these repeated assassination attempts is more than just a testament to his resilience, but I believe it's a reflection of the ongoing struggle for Africa's liberation. He's not just fighting for Burkina Faso, but he's fighting for Africa, for sovereignty, for self-determination. And as Africans, I do believe that it is our duty to stand with him and with all leaders who are fighting to free our continent from the chains of exploitation. The enemies of our ancestors may be alive and well, but so too is the spirit of resistance. May our ancient righteous ancestors guide and protect those who fight for the future of Africa. Nkosi sikelela i-Afrika. What are your thoughts? Let's continue the conversation in the comment section. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I'd really like to hear your